The rain fell harder as Gina pulled her thin jacket tighter around her swollen belly. At 17 and 8 months pregnant, she had nowhere to go. Her parents' cruel words from that morning still burned in her mind like fire. "You've brought shame to our family. Get out and don't come back." She shifted uncomfortably on the cold park bench, watching people hurry past with umbrellas. Nobody looked at the homeless pregnant girl, nobody cared. Her phone had died hours ago, and she had only a few $1,001 left in her pocket. The baby kicked inside her, as if sensing her fear. "What am I going to do?" she whispered, placing both hands on her belly. Tears mixed with raindrops on her cheeks. As darkness crept over Seoul, the park emptied completely. Streetlights flickered on, casting long shadows between the trees. Gina's stomach growled loudly. She hadn't eaten since breakfast, and even that had been just a piece of bread before her parents discovered her pregnancy and exploded in anger. Footsteps approached through the rain. Gina looked up to see an elderly woman walking toward her with a bright umbrella. The woman had kind eyes and silver hair tied back neatly. Despite the weather, she moved with surprising grace for someone her age. "You look cold, child," the woman said in a gentle voice, stopping beside the bench. "And very wet. This is no place for someone in your condition." Gina stared up at her, unsure whether to trust this stranger. "I'm fine," she lied, her voice shaking from both cold and emotion. The elderly woman smiled warmly. "My name is Sunja. I live nearby and I have hot soup waiting at home. Please come with me. No pregnant girl should be alone in the rain." Something about Sunja's voice made Gina feel safe. Maybe it was desperation, or maybe it was the genuine kindness in the woman's eyes, but Gina found herself nodding. "I'm Gina," she said quietly. Sunja helped her stand, holding the umbrella over both of them as they walked through the narrow streets. "Don't worry, dear. Everything will be all right." They entered a modern apartment building, taking the elevator to the 7th floor. Sunja's home looked ordinary from the outside, but as they stepped inside, Gina noticed something unusual. The moment they entered, the air became perfectly warm, as if the walls themselves were adjusting the temperature. "Sit here," Sunja said, guiding Gina to a comfortable couch. "I'll bring you something to eat." As Sunja moved toward the kitchen, Gina looked around the living room. Everything seemed normal at first glance, but small details felt wrong. The walls had a subtle shimmer, like they were made of something more advanced than regular paint. When Sunja opened what looked like a refrigerator, Gina glimpsed shelves that seemed to glow with soft blue light. Minutes later, Sunja returned with a bowl of soup that smelled incredible. "How did you cook this so fast?" Gina asked, accepting the warm bowl gratefully. "I had it prepared earlier," Sunja replied with a mysterious smile, but Gina hadn't heard any cooking sounds. No microwave beeping, no stovetop clicking, nothing. The soup tasted perfect, with flavors she couldn't identify. As she ate, she watched Sunja move around the apartment. The older woman's movements seemed too smooth, too precise, like she was floating rather than walking. "You can stay here tonight," Sunja said, settling into a chair across from her. "And for as long as you need." "I can't pay you," Gina admitted, embarrassed. "My parents, they cut me off completely. Money isn't important, child. What matters is that you're safe." As they talked, Gina noticed Sunja's eyes. In the lamplight, they seemed to have an inner glow, like tiny stars were trapped inside them. When Sunja turned to look at the window, her reflection in the glass flickered for just a moment, showing something that didn't quite look human. Gina blinked hard, telling herself she was seeing things. The stress of the day, the exhaustion, the hunger. It was all making her imagine things that weren't there. Sunja showed her to a small bedroom with the most comfortable bed Gina had ever seen. The sheets felt like they were made of clouds, and the pillows adjusted perfectly to support her pregnant body. "Rest now," Sunja said softly. "Tomorrow will be better." As Gina lay in the dark, she could hear soft humming coming from the living room, but it wasn't quite like human humming. The melody seemed to have harmonies that human voices couldn't make, beautiful and haunting at the same time. She pressed her hands to her belly, feeling the baby move inside her. For the first time in months, she felt truly safe. Whatever was my strange about Sunja and her apartment. The kindness was real, the warmth was real, the protection was real. Outside rain continued to fall on Seoul, but Gina was finally warm and dry. She closed her eyes and let sleep take her, unaware that her life had just changed in ways she couldn't imagine. 3 months had passed since baby Heejin entered the world. Gina had never experienced love like this before. Every tiny sound her daughter made, every small movement, filled her heart with overwhelming joy. Sunja had been like a grandmother to them both, helping with midnight feedings and teaching Gina everything about caring for a newborn. On a quiet evening, as Gina rocked Heejin to sleep, Sunja sat across from them with an expression more serious than usual. The apartment's walls seemed to pulse with a gentle blue light that Gina had grown accustomed to over the months. "Gina," Sunja said softly, "there are things I must tell you, things that will sound impossible, but I need you to listen with an open heart." Gina looked up from her sleeping daughter. "What is it? You've been acting strange all week." Sunja stood and walked to the large window overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. As she moved, her reflection in the glass began to change. Her familiar elderly appearance started to shimmer like heat waves rising from summer pavement. I'm not who you think I am," Sunja whispered. Before Gina's eyes, Sunja's human disguise melted away like digital pixels dissolving. Her skin took on a beautiful blue tint that seemed to glow from within. Her eyes became large and silver, reflecting light like mirrors. Her hair transformed into flowing strands that moved as if underwater, even though there was no breeze. Gina's mouth fell open. Baby Heejin stirred in her arms, but remained asleep. What are you?" "My real name is Zara 97 Alpha," Sunja said, her voice now carrying musical tones that hadn't been there before. "I am a scout from the Galactic Federation. I have been studying your world for 43 Earth years." Gina clutched Heejin tighter, her heart pounding. "This isn't real. I'm dreaming. I have to be dreaming." Zara moved closer, her movements flowing like water. "I chose this form to blend in with humans. My mission was to identify individuals with exceptional potential for joining our galactic civilization." The walls around them began to shift and change. What Gina had thought were ordinary apartment walls revealed themselves to be advanced display screens, showing star charts and alien symbols. Holographic displays materialized in the air, showing images of massive spacecraft floating between distant planets. "These are the worlds of the Federation," Zara explained, gesturing to the floating images. "Thousands of species working together across the galaxy. We've been watching Earth for centuries, waiting for humanity to reach the right level of development." A three-dimensional map appeared, showing Earth surrounded by sleek vessels that looked like silver crescents. "My people have been here all along, hidden, observing, learning about your species." Gina's hands trembled as she stared at the holographic spaceships. Some were enormous, easily the size of cities, while others darted between them like metallic fish. Strange creatures with multiple arms operated control panels inside the vessels, while others that looked like living crystals communicated through patterns of colored light. "Why me?" Gina whispered. "I'm nobody special. I'm just a teenage mother with no family, no money, no future." Zara's silver eyes filled with something that looked like compassion. "That's where you're wrong, dear one. I didn't choose you because of your situation. I chose you because of what you are." She waved her hand, and a new hologram appeared showing a scan of Gina's brain. Millions of neural pathways lit up in patterns of gold and silver. "Your brain generates patterns I've never seen before. Only 1 in a million humans possesses your neural configuration." The brain scan rotated slowly, showing clusters of activity that pulsed like stars. "These patterns indicate dormant abilities that your species hasn't learned to access yet. But more importantly, they show something we've discovered about humans that makes you unique in the galaxy." "What do you mean?" Gina asked, still struggling to process everything she was seeing. "Your capacity for emotional connection," Zara explained. "Other advanced species have evolved beyond what they consider primitive feelings, but humans have something we lost long ago." Images flashed through the holograms, showing different alien species. Some looked like tall, thin beings with large heads and no visible emotions. Others appeared to be pure energy, contained in mechanical bodies. All of them seemed cold, calculating, efficient. "We are powerful, but we are empty," Zara continued. "When I first arrived on Earth, I was fascinated by human emotions, the way you love, sacrifice, protect each other, the way mothers bond with their children." She looked down at sleeping Hyejin with wonder. "I have watched you these past months. The love you have for your daughter creates energy patterns that our most advanced technology cannot replicate." Gina felt tears rolling down her cheeks. "I don't understand any of this. During my decades here, I've grown to love humanity," Zara admitted. "I was supposed to identify promising individuals and report back to the Federation, but I've been secretly protecting people like you instead, because I believe humans have something the galaxy desperately needs." The holographic displays suddenly flickered and turned red. Warning symbols appeared in alien script. Zara's expression grew alarmed. "They know," she whispered. "The Federation Council has grown impatient with my delays. Enforcement ships are coming." Gina held Hyejin closer as fear flooded through her. Everything she thought she knew about reality had just crumbled. Her safe haven wasn't safe at all, and now, somehow, she and her baby daughter were caught in the middle of something bigger than she could imagine. The next morning, Zara wasted no time beginning Gina's training. The apartment transformed once again, walls shifting to create a spacious room filled with soft, glowing light. Strange, crystalline formations emerged from the floor, humming with gentle energy. "Your species has abilities locked away in your minds," Zara explained, her blue skin shimmering as she moved around the training space. "Most humans never access these powers because you don't know they exist. But motherhood changes everything." Gina sat cross-legged on a cushion that seemed to float slightly above the ground, holding 6-month-old Hyejin in her lap. The baby gurgled happily, reaching for the dancing lights that swirled around them. "I don't feel special," Gina said, still struggling to believe everything that had happened. "I'm just trying to be a good mom." "That's exactly why you're special," Zara replied, her silver eyes gleaming. "Close your eyes and focus on your connection to Hyejin. Feel the bond between you." Gina closed her eyes, immediately aware of her daughter's warm weight against her chest. She could hear Hyejin's tiny heartbeat, feel the rhythm of her breathing. But as she concentrated deeper, something strange began to happen. She started sensing things about Hyejin without using her normal senses. The baby was content now, but Gina somehow knew she would be hungry in exactly 23 minutes. She could feel a slight discomfort in Hyejin's left foot, where her sock was too tight. "I can feel what she's feeling," Gina whispered in amazement. "That's just the beginning," Zara said excitedly. "Human mothers develop psychic connections with their children that even our most advanced telepathic species cannot match. Your love creates quantum entanglement at the cellular level." Over the following weeks, Gina's abilities grew stronger. When Hyejin cried from hunger, Gina learned to project feelings of comfort and warmth that would calm the baby instantly. Her hands began to glow with soft golden light whenever she touched her daughter, and Hyejin never got sick, never had colic, never seemed distressed for long. During one training session, something extraordinary happened. Gina was practicing meditation while Hyejin played on a blanket nearby. Suddenly, the baby crawled toward the edge of the raised platform where they were sitting. "Hyejin, no!" Gina cried out. Without thinking, she thrust her hands forward. A shimmering barrier of pure light materialized around her daughter, catching the baby gently before she could fall. The protective shield glowed like liquid starlight, pulsing in rhythm with Gina's heartbeat. Zara gasped in amazement. "In 40 years of studying humans, I've never seen anyone manifest protective energy fields so quickly. Your maternal instincts are weaponizing your psychic abilities." But their training sessions were interrupted by increasingly urgent warnings from Zara's hidden communication devices. Holographic displays throughout the apartment showed massive spacecraft approaching Earth's solar system. The ships looked like enormous metal squids, their tentacle-like appendages crackling with weapon energy. "Enforcement Division vessels," Zara explained grimly as they watched the fleet advance. "They're designed for planetary subjugation. The Federation Council has decided Earth is taking too long to develop. The lead ship was particularly intimidating, easily the size of a small moon. Its hull bristled with cannon arrays that could turn entire continents to glass. Smaller fighter craft swarmed around it like angry insects, piloted by robotic warriors with glowing red sensors for eyes. "What do they want?" Gina asked, holding Hyejin protectively. "To evaluate humanity's worthiness for galactic citizenship," Zara replied. "If they decide humans aren't ready, they'll establish a quarantine zone around Earth for the next 1,000 years. If they determine humans are potentially dangerous..." She didn't finish the sentence. Through the apartment's windows, they could see other people in Seoul going about their daily lives, completely unaware that alien warships were approaching. Children played in parks while their parents worked in offices. Elderly couples fed pigeons on benches, normal human life continuing peacefully. "They don't know, do they?" Gina asked sadly. "Humanity has no idea what's coming," Zara confirmed. "Your government's space agencies might detect the ships in a few days, but by then it will be too late." The communication devices crackled with incoming messages in alien languages. Zara's expression grew more worried as she listened to the translations appearing on floating screens. "They're demanding I return to the flagship immediately," she explained. "I'm supposed to present my findings about human potential and recommend whether your species should be integrated, quarantined, or..." She paused. "Or what?" "Or eliminated. As a potential threat." Gina felt cold fear washing over her, not just for herself and Hyejin, but for every human on Earth. Billions of people who had no idea their entire civilization was about to be judged by alien beings who saw emotions as primitive weaknesses. "You have to tell them the truth," Gina said firmly. "Show them what humans can really do." Zara's form flickered with uncertainty. "If I reveal your abilities to the Enforcement Division, they'll want to study you. They'll separate you from Hyejin to run experiments. They don't understand that human powers come from love, not from individual strength." Outside, the first of the alien vessels became visible as tiny dots moving across the daytime sky. Soon everyone would see them. Panic would spread across the globe as humanity realized they were not alone in the universe. "How long do we have?" Gina asked. 72 hours until the evaluation begins," Zara replied. "After that, the fate of humanity will be decided." Gina looked down at baby Hyejin, who was reaching up to touch the dancing lights around them. Her daughter had no idea that she represented the future of the entire human race, that somehow a teenage mother and her baby had become the key to saving Earth from forces beyond imagination. The morning sky over Seoul turned dark as massive shadows blocked out the sun. Gina stood at the apartment window, holding 1-year-old Hyejin, watching in terror as enormous alien ships descended over every major city on Earth. The vessels were unlike anything from science fiction movies. They looked like living creatures, made of black metal, with surfaces that rippled like water, and appendages that moved with frightening intelligence. News broadcasts from around the world showed the same scene everywhere. Tokyo, New York, London, Mumbai all had these massive ships hovering silently overhead. People poured into the streets, pointing and screaming, taking photos with their phones before the devices mysteriously stopped working. "They're jamming. All human technology," Zara explained, her blue face pale with worry. "Standard Federation protocol for first contact situations." Through the apartment's enhanced walls, they could hear the ships broadcasting messages in hundreds of human languages. Simultaneously, the voice was cold and mechanical. "Citizens of Earth, remain calm. You are being evaluated for potential inclusion in the Galactic Federation. Comply with all instructions from our representatives." Gina bounced Hyejin gently as the baby started to fuss, sensing her mother's fear. "What happens now?" Before Zara could answer, the air in the living room began to shimmer. 3 tall figures materialized out of thin air, their forms solidifying like holograms, becoming real. They wore sleek silver armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal, and their faces were hidden behind masks that pulsed with red light. The lead figure was clearly in command, standing nearly 8 feet tall with 4 arms that ended in mechanical claws. When it spoke, its voice came from everywhere at once, as if the room itself was talking. "Scout Zara 97 Alpha, you have failed to report for standard duty cycles. explain this violation. Zara stepped protectively in front of Gina and, "Hi, Jin. Commander Vex Prime, I have been conducting extended observations of human behavior patterns. My research is not yet complete." The commander's red sensors focused on Gina and the baby. "These are the subjects you have been studying? They appear to be standard baseline humans, with no exceptional characteristics." "So you don't understand," Zara began, but the commander raised one of its clawed hands for silence. "The evaluation period has begun. We will take the infant for proper analysis and testing. The adult female will be processed separately. 2 of E." The agents moved toward Gina. Their armor made soft whirring sounds as servos and joints adjusted with each step. She could see her reflection in their masks, a terrified young mother clutching her child. "No," Gina said firmly, backing away toward the window. "You can't have her." "Human emotional attachment is irrelevant," the commander stated. "The offspring shows potential genetic markers. It will receive appropriate care during evaluation." One of the agents reached out with mechanical precision to take Hyejin from Gina's arms. The moment its cold metal fingers touched her daughter, something deep inside Gina exploded like a star going supernova. "Don't touch my baby." The words came out as more than sound. They carried pure maternal fury that had been building since the moment Hyejin was born. A wave of golden energy erupted from Gina's body, washing over the 3 agents like a tsunami of protective love. Their advanced armor began sparking and smoking. The red lights in their masks flickered wildly before going dark completely. The commander stumbled backward, its forearms twitching uncontrollably as its systems overloaded. "Impossible," it stammered. "Our equipment is shielded against all known energy forms." But Gina wasn't finished. Her love for Hyejin had awakened something primal and powerful. She could feel the energy flowing through her, connecting her not just to her daughter, but to every parent on Earth who was facing the same threat. All across the globe, similar scenes were playing out. In Tokyo, a father named Kenji saw alien soldiers approaching his twin sons on a playground. His desperate need to protect them manifested as superhuman strength, and he literally threw a car at the attackers. In New York, a mother named Maria shielded her daughter from alien scanners, unconsciously generating a barrier of pure light that their technology couldn't penetrate. In Mumbai, an elderly grandmother named Priya was protecting her grandchildren when alien robots tried to separate them. Her fierce love created a healing energy that not only protected the children, but actually repaired damage the robots had done to nearby buildings. The Federation's ships, floating confidently over major cities, suddenly found their systems failing one by one. Weapons arrays went offline, as waves of human emotional energy interfered with their technology. Navigation systems spun wildly as billions of people united in protecting their families. Commander Vex Prime stared at its malfunctioning equipment in disbelief. "How are they doing this? Their neural patterns show no technological augmentation." Zara smiled through her fear. "You never understood, did you? Human power doesn't come from technology or genetic manipulation. It comes from something you eliminated from your own species long ago." "Explain," the commander demanded, its voice glitching as its vocal systems struggled to function. "Love," Zara said simply. "Pure, unconditional love. Every parent willing to die for their child. Every person who puts others before themselves. You see it as weakness, but it's the strongest force in the universe." Through the apartment's walls, they could hear the sounds of the alien ships beginning to retreat. Their hulls were smoking and sparking as human emotional energy overloaded, systems designed to conquer entire civilizations. Gina looked down at Hyejin, who was now laughing and reaching toward the pretty golden lights still swirling around them. The baby had no idea she had just helped save the world simply by being loved completely by her mother. The Federation agents in the apartment flickered and vanished, teleporting back to their ships in emergency evacuation protocols. Earth's skies began to clear as the massive vessels limped away from the planet, their crews struggling to understand how primitive humans had defeated their advanced technology with nothing but emotion. 6 months after the failed invasion, Earth had become the most talked-about planet in the galaxy. The Federation's massive communication arrays buzzed constantly with reports from thousands of species, all trying to understand how humans had accomplished the impossible. Gina stood in what used to be Zara's apartment, now transformed into Earth's first diplomatic center. The walls displayed real-time communications from across the galaxy, holographic beings from distant worlds requesting meetings, trade agreements, and most surprisingly, asking for help with their own emotional development. 2-year-old Hye Jin played on the floor nearby, her toys now including small crystalline devices that responded to her feelings with beautiful colors and musical sounds. Gifts from alien species who wanted to study human children not as test subjects, but as teachers. "The High Council wishes to speak with you," Zara announced, her blue form shimmering as she activated the main communication array. Even after choosing to stay on Earth, she still maintained her role as liaison between humans and the Federation. Air filled with holographic projections of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. There was Council Leader Thamor, a creature that looked like living starlight contained in a crystalline body. Beside him floated Warmaster Kex, a being of pure energy who commanded fleets across 12 star systems. Others appeared as geometric patterns, swirling gases, or combinations of technology and biology that defied description. Ambassador Gina of Earth, Council Leader Thamor spoke, his voice like music played on instruments made of light. "We formally recognize humanity as a Tier 1 emerging civilization with full rights and protections under galactic law." Gina still felt overwhelmed by these encounters, but she had learned to project confidence. "Thank you, Council Leader. What does this mean for Earth?" "It means your species will never again face threat of subjugation or elimination," Warmaster Kex replied, his energy form pulsing with colors that indicated respect. "More importantly, we wish to learn from you." The statement would have been unthinkable a year ago. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy asking to learn from humans who had barely begun exploring their own solar system. "Our species have grown powerful through technology and conquest," another council member explained. This one appeared as a floating brain surrounded by mechanical appendages. "But we lost something essential in the process. You call it love. Compassion, the willingness to sacrifice for others. We eliminated these as inefficient weaknesses. Now we see they were actually the greatest strengths," Thamor continued. "Your people generated energy patterns that disabled our most advanced weapons simply through the desire to protect each other. This power transcends anything we understand." Through the diplomatic center's windows, Gina could see the first of many changes happening to Earth. In the sky, sleek alien vessels worked alongside human aircraft, helping to clean pollution from the atmosphere using advanced technology freely, shared by grateful Federation species. Construction crews of friendly robot workers were building new cities designed to be perfectly sustainable, while aquatic aliens helped restore Earth's damaged ocean ecosystems. The cooperation was voluntary on both sides. Humans offered emotional wisdom, while aliens provided technological solutions. "The most remarkable part," Warmaster Kex observed, "is that your power grows stronger when you work together. Most species become weaker when they cooperate, but humans become exponentially more powerful." It was true. The training centers Gina had established across Earth were proving this every day. Parents learning to develop their protective abilities found they could do incredible things when they focused on their children together. Groups of friends discovered they could generate healing energy that surpassed even advanced alien medical technology. In Seoul, a training center built in the same neighborhood where Gina had once been homeless was now home to hundreds of families learning to unlock their potential. Young mothers like Sumin worked with experienced parents like Elder Dongwoo, their combined emotional energy creating phenomena that amazed visiting alien scientists daily. "We want to establish exchange programs," Council Leader Thamor explained. "Our young will come to Earth to learn about emotional development, while your people can visit our worlds to share knowledge about human bonding techniques." Hyjin looked up from her toys, babbling happily at the colorful holographic beings. Several of the council members actually paused their serious discussion to wave at her, their powerful forms softening in the presence of a happy human child. "Your daughter represents hope for the entire galaxy," one council member said softly. "She will grow up in a universe where emotional connection is valued as much as technological advancement." As the formal meeting concluded, Gina reflected on the incredible journey that had brought her here. The scared teenager who had sat crying in the rain was now the bridge between humanity and countless alien civilizations. Her daughter, who had nearly been taken for experiments, was instead being celebrated as the symbol of a new age of galactic cooperation. Zara approached after the holograms faded. "The Federation's exploration fleets have reported something interesting. They're finding other species on distant worlds who are beginning to rediscover their own capacity for emotional bonding. Humans are inspiring evolutionary changes across the galaxy." Outside, the sun was setting over a transformed soul. Alien and human children played together in parks, while their parents shared stories and techniques for nurturing emotional development. The city's skyline now included graceful spires of crystalline technology that responded to the collective mood of the population, glowing brighter when people were happy and content. Gina picked up Hye-jin, who immediately reached for the dancing lights that always appeared when her mother held her. The same protective energy that had once disabled alien weapons now created beautiful displays that brought joy to everyone who saw them. The universe had learned an important lesson from a teenage mother and her baby daughter. The greatest power in existence wasn't found in massive spaceships or advanced weapons. It wasn't discovered in laboratories or built by engineers. It lived in the simple, extraordinary bond between people who loved each other completely. And now, for the first time in galactic history, that power would help guide the destiny of countless worlds among the stars. The ND.